My name is Megan Brent. I'm the executive chef of White Oak Kitchen and Cocktails, and today we will be preparing chicken meatballs simmered in a tomato gravy. This recipe is very, very special to me because it's a riff on something my grandmother made growing up. She taught my mother when she married my father, and then they taught me, so it's a little something from my family to yours. Now, there's a lot of ingredients here, so be sure to scroll down below the video to make sure you have everything you need before you begin. All right, now let's get started. We have some of our pans already preheating, so let's dive in. What we're gonna start off first is sweating down some shallots and garlic before adding it to our meat mix. Start with some oil in a pan. And you're just really doing this to get light color on it and just to kind of start releasing all those nice sugars that are in the garlic, bring out the sweetness in it, in the meat. We're gonna take it off the heat and we're gonna go into our mixing process. And so right here we have some ground chicken thighs. Now with this recipe, you can use chicken breast if you don't like all that extra fat, but I prefer the thigh meat because it has a little bit more flavor involved. And then right over here, we have some bacon. I use a hickory smoked bacon. We're gonna add some of our garlic and shallots. And then now onto our other ingredients. We have a spice mixture of clove, coriander, pink salt, and then we also have some clove and mace. We have some chopped herbs here, some thyme, rosemary, chives, and parsley. Add that in. We have 1 egg. We have some panko and some buttermilk that we're gonna add together just to kind of moisten it. And this is to help keep the moisture in the meatball since there's not a lot of fat content in your chicken. Mix it up a little bit with your hand before adding. And then we're gonna add some fat. You can use pork fat, lard, but today duck fat we're using. And this right here is a little culinary school trick to help keep your meatballs nice and moist. It's basically gelatin. You can get gelatin at the store along with some poultry stock. It's a nice brown poultry stock, and we set it so it helps bring more moisture into your meatballs so you don't have a dry ball. And now we can mix it together. Now that we have it 3/4 of the way mixed, we're gonna add some cognac and cheese. We waited to do this so that we wouldn't overmix it. Today we have some Parmesan cheese. Now you can use any cheese in your meatballs, but I prefer this because it has, it doesn't get all oily when it melts. And now we're gonna add a few drops of cognac. And then you can finish your mixing. And like I said before, be sure not to overmix it, otherwise your end product will become really dense and dry. All right, now that we're finished with our mixing, we're gonna take our meat mix to the cooler so that it can rest for about 30 minutes to an hour so that the flavors can kind of develop and you'll have a firmer mixture to start scooping your meatballs with. All right, y'all, now that our meatballs are in the fridge resting, we're gonna start our sauce. So we're gonna start with a little bit of oil in a preheated pan. And then we're gonna add, start with our onions that have been julienned. A little bit of garlic, and then we're gonna start our pan stirring it. All right, so we're gonna let the garlic and the onions to kind of cook down for about 2 to 3 minutes until they start to get really nice and soft, and then we're gonna end up adding our wine in just a moment. We're gonna add about a cup to a cup and a half of some red wine, and then we're gonna let this cook down so it can reduce by half. So the reason why we add the wine to this, to the sauce is so that it can help deglaze the pan of the sugars that have been kind of starting to stick to the pan because that natural caramelization is happening with the garlic and the onions. And also it gives more depth of flavor to your sauce. And while the wine is reducing, we're going to add in our little bouquet, which is some thyme, parsley, basil, bay leaf, and rosemary. All right, now that our wine has reduced by half, we are going to add in our San Marzano tomatoes. Now these are whole peeled tomatoes that were in a can, and when you put them in, just kind of take a whisk and kind of break them down in the pan with the heat, kind of helps the process. Alrighty, so once we got all of your tomatoes broken down in your pan, we're gonna add the seasonings that kind of go into it. We're gonna lightly season it at first because as it begins to cook, the flavors are gonna start coming together, meshing together, and then we'll taste it at the end before we add any more salt, pepper, so we don't overdo it. what we have here is some sugar, salt, a little bit of white pepper, and red chili flake. So now we're gonna take the heat down to a simmer, and then we're gonna begin to shape our meatballs. All right, y'all, now that our meat mixture has been sitting in the fridge for about 30 minutes to an hour, we're gonna begin to shape our meatballs. You can use a scoop, or you can go old school and just kind of pick them up with your hands, but I like having a pre-measured scoop. Now, you can do any size you like. I like them a little bit smaller, about 2 ounces or so. And then they cook a little bit quicker. Once we're done scooping, we're gonna kind of roll them a little bit in our hands so they have a little bit more even shape and have a little bit more of a rounded bottom. Now that we've scooped our meatballs, we're gonna begin to roll them so they have a little bit more of a even surface area and more of a ball-like shape. I always love this recipe. It always reminds me of home and just being around my family. All right, now that we have finished rolling all of our meatballs, we're gonna take them to the oven and put them in there at 500 degrees for about 5 minutes. Now, we just want them in there for 5 minutes so that the outside gets cooked, and then we can pull them out and finish them in the sauce so that you have a juicier texture. All right, now that we just pulled our meatballs out of the oven, they're starting to look nice and crispy on the outside, so now we're gonna put them into our sauce to finish the cooking process. All right, so when you're putting these into our sauce, we're trying to space them out a little bit and kind of like nestle them in the sauce so that they're covered. All right, now that they're all in, we are going to turn up the heat to about medium simmer. There we go, so it can finish the cooking process. And this should take about 15 to 20 minutes to finish cooking. All right, now our meatballs have been simmering for about 20 minutes now, and your kitchen should be filled with a lot of smells of herbs, some garlic, onions, and now it's ready to serve. Now, you can serve these meatballs over really anything. At the restaurant, we serve them over grits with some local cheese. At home, growing up, we always served it with spaghetti, or for lunch, we had a meatball sub. These look absolutely delicious. Now, to finish it off, we're gonna sprinkle it with some of our Parmesan cheese and a little bit of basil. All right, and there you have it, our Springer Mountain Chicken meatballs simmered in a tomato gravy. For more recipes like this, visit springermtn.com. Thank you for watching.